and good evening. Welcome to DTMT. We are so glad that you could join us today for another episode of Doing the Ministry Thing. Just a reminder that we do this interview so that if you are in ministry, if you ever want to join ministry, you're able to learn and hear from men and women who have gone before you. We are going to address issues of how they received their calling, what they've been doing so far, the celebrations, the challenges, everything that has to do with ministry. And so we are so excited today to have a man of God all the way from Shanzu, Ray of Light Church. And so it is my honor to introduce Pastor George OBIERO. Welcome. Kindly introduce yourself to the DTMT fans.
I'm George OBIERO. I'm a pastor at Ray of Light Ministry. We're located in Shanzu, just like you already mentioned. And, married to one wife who's a woman, and have three lovely daughters, 16, 13, and 6. And so that's what we do right now, basically in what traditionally we know as full-time ministry. That is not really what full-time. Full-time is full-time. You don't have to be doing nothing else for it to be called full-time.
So, Pastor George, how did you find yourself here in Mombasa? How did you get to Mombasa to be a pastor in the city of Mombasa?
Very interesting question. The journey starts back right from when I was in campus. I got to know I was in UN, University of Nairobi, and right from that time I knew that I had a calling in serving God, and from those years I started giving myself to the Lord through the CU and looking for Jesus. You know, when you're hungry, you have to look for where God is. And that's when I landed in this wonderful ministry under Bishop Joseph Kalema. And that's where my spiritual catapulting, that's where it came from. So I started giving myself to ministry while I was still on campus. Of course, part of that ministry, I served as a youth leader, then grew up into the worship ministry as a worship person, and then later on got into become the worship leader, and slowly rising up the scales. Of course, most of these started happening now when I was about to finish campus, and so finished campus, joined the ministry fully, and when I joined the ministry fully, I was there. I mean, my first year, I didn't even look for a job. My mother was worried. I mean, why don't you look for a job? I gave my first year to church. So I'd wake up, that time we were living in Kibera, Nairobi. Wake up, go to church, and spend the whole day, either in prayer or you know, just being in the house of God. You know, and so as a result of being in prayer, I started getting, you know, there was a lot of openings, you know, spiritually. I started embracing even people who are married. I was fearful about it. I'm single, and these are married people coming to me for advice. That's when the Lord encouraged me. Fast forward, I begin serving God. I rise the ranks here in Nairobi, and serving under this wonderful man of God and his wife. At that time, I think I got married. That was in 2 or 3. In 2 or 3, 3 years before that, that's when I met my wife. Of course, it was in a conference that was hosted by the ministry, and so we dated for 3 years or so. So we got married in 2 or 3. And that time we are now fully given to ministry. She came from another ministry to join me. And so we start. At that time same year I was getting married, which got married in May. Um, that time, we got married. I'm serving God, and after that moment of marriage, I was only given a week. By the way, I was in probation. Then I was working in Safari.
Okay.
You know, and so through that, I worked in Safaricom for a number of years. Then moved to Kenya Shell. So it is while there. So we've served in the ministry for a number of years, and the Lord started speaking to me that we needed to make a move. I had gotten a lot of prophetic words, you know, about the Lord saying that you need to start your own outfit and all that. I'm a loyalist. I stick, you know, and there was no reason why I would leave. So just to get to your question, my bishop then they left. They left in 2008 after the post-election violence. They left for the US. They've never been back since. So the ministry was basically left in our hands. So we were the ones running the ministry from 2008, and that was a very dicey moment. I remember in 2007, my bishop would take 3 months out, you know, for mission trips and come back. So that 2007 when he came back, he sat us as the elders and the team that led him. He said, the Lord asked me a question when I was on a flight back. What would happen if the Lord took me away? And you know, we all bashed him. We were like, how? Where are you going? You're not going to die. And we pushed that question aside. And you know, in our mind, all we thought was death.
Yes.
But in God, God knew that he was going to take him away. So after the post-election violence, you know, he was taken away. So then we were left. We ran the ministry for a number of years. It was not the very easiest, because here's your bishop. You are now taking over, and you have people who are much older than you.
Yes.
And you know, it's very difficult to give yourself to a new outfit. This is a young man, you know, and so we faced a number of challenges in that area. But God pulled us through. So in pulling us through, I feel the Lord beckoning us and saying, it's time to move. So I remember one time calling a bishop and I told him, the Lord has said that we need to move on. He said, I am in. Go and pray again. And having been raised again, we went back to prayer. A whole year again. So the following year is when now we talk to him. And the Lord had it that from where I was working now with Kenya Shell, which then became Vivo Energy, I had applied for a job, a promotion.
Yes.
So it was a Nairobi job.
Yes.
So when I was told I was successful, they said, before now they took me, they said, okay, there's a bit of twist. The person in Nairobi, Mombasa needs to move to Nairobi, and you need to go to Mombasa. So are you comfortable with it when they incorporate? So I shared with my wife, and this was sort of like what now would marry the whole issue of coming to Mombasa. I would never have. There were many jobs for Mombasa. I never ever wanted to come to Mombasa. I left. I mean, I see job opening Mombasa, forget it. But then the Lord would have it that way. So then the work is what gave us the release from our bishop to then come to Mombasa. So I came to Mombasa because of work, but I also knew that the Lord had called us to move out, and that's the only way I would have resigned. So I gave him my resignation as the resident pastor, and he allowed me. So he said, are you going to start the same ministry in Mombasa? I said, well, the Lord has told me to go to Mombasa to pray. After that, I don't know what he will bring up. So we came to Mombasa, and it was basically to pray, not to start a ministry. But of course, in all this time, I knew I'm called, but to pray. So we come to Mombasa, and I come fast. For about 8 months, I'm shuttling, still not accepting until I said, family, we've got got to join me. So my family joined me the following after about 7-8 months. So they joined me in Mombasa, and that's where that's how I got to Mombasa. It was work that actually brought me to Mombasa, but behind the scenes, it was God working.
It was God working, just marrying the work elements and the vision that you already had for you. Allow me to ask you this question, because a lot of people pose this question. How you mentioned that you were called. How did you know that you were called? Did you have this dream in the night like Joseph, and you had to pray and to find an interpreter? Did you have this vision? As in, how did you know that you were called to be used of God as a minister?
That's a good question. I love the how, because as I've grown, I think the how question is usually the dicey question in all this.
That is true.
And it's not rocket science. Right from in high school, because I got saved when I was in standard 6, I thank God. So in high school, I get into high school as a Form 1, and they tell me, last, you will be there for 2 weeks and you'll backslide. So 2 weeks turn to 2 months and I'm not backsliding. They say, you wait year 1, Kisha. The next year you will find yourself actually going back. So Form 2, still on. I was actually the head boy of the school I was in, and still born again. But in Form 2, my passion for prayer, my passion for singing was there. And so, you sit down and I think a man of God came and talked to us, the way they invited preachers would come, and he was just sharing about serving God, and he felt this is more like it. So fast forward, done with high school, and in that season, a man of God also came from out, and he was talking to us about serving God in our single state. And that resonated in my heart. In campus, I had a friend, and we used to talk and say, you know what, I know what I've been called to. So I need a wife who is an intercessor, I need a wife who is a praying woman. I knew it. It was just a sense within me. It was just developed. So it is passion that carried me a big while. Of course, the blessing that I also had is being raised from a Christian family. So hearing the voice of God was the biggest challenge that I had. And what helped me is the same ministry where I came into, because I grew up ACK all through, just loving the things of God, walking with God. But now with a hunger for more of the spiritual encounters, I go for this particular meeting. And from that meeting, I received a prophetic word. It was my first time to encounter anything, prophecy, all this stuff. That was my very first time. In fact, what really got me, just slew me, was the fact that the day before everybody was being prayed for and getting prophecy, and I'm like, why not me? I'm not being told. So I went home that evening, just with a lot of murmuring in my heart. I'm like, so the following day, this man of God calls me and says, you come. I see you talking to God yesterday, telling God how he has not picked you. Oh, that just took me away. And of course, the prophetic word was released. The Lord was going to call me to the nations, and I'll travel the nations. There will be the young ministry in my life. It was very, very precise. Looking at it years now, the Lord has brought it to pass. So that was more of a confirmation of what was going on within. Because of course, there has to be something within us that then resonates with an external voice and causes the baby within to be. So whatever we carry within us, it wasn't news per se.
Yes.
It's like Mary, Elizabeth, greeting and something leaping. So that's how I knew that I had that specific calling, but I just had an inclination to it.
Wow, that's amazing. Fast forward to you working at Safaricom, Shell, now Vivo, coming to Mombasa. You're working and you're also a pastor. A lot of people usually assume when we talk about full-time ministry, it means you wake up and you pray the whole day, pray the whole night. As in, your work as a pastor is to pray, is to visit the sick, is to look for donations, is to do one or two things. But in your case, which I found very unique at that time when I initially met you, is that you were working at a company you had an 8 to 5, so to say, and you still were running a ministry here in the city of Mombasa. Tell us a bit about that, because I know there are many people at home who are thinking, maybe I work for Safaricom, or I have a business, I'm a lawyer, I'm a painter, I'm an artist. I don't have time to serve God. Where do I get this time that you want me to serve God? So would you mind sharing with us the dynamics and also the transition finally from that workspace to what is considered as, allow me to use air quotes, full-time ministry? Yes.
The fundamental thing to understand is about us as Christians.
Yes.
And once we understand that fundamental, then it will actually, all these things will fade away. And the fundamental thing is that we as Christians are called to one life.
Yes.
It is one life. Whether you're in the marketplace, in the home, in school, wherever you are, we have one life. We don't have 2, 3 lives. The unfortunate thing is that we compartmentalize our Christianity so that I am a pastor on Sunday, or I'm a worship leader on Sunday. On Monday, allow me to be a receptionist, and on Saturday I will go to the market, or maybe you have a hobby of swimming, so you're a swimmer. So we've complicated things. Once you become a Christian, then it is just that one life. And so as we embrace that one life, so that we are not living 2, 3 lives, that I'm the same person you would meet anywhere else, then we now narrow to this aspect of full time. I also I read a lot of literature, and there is one particular book I remember reading, and it was talking about lay leaders, lay pastors, and this man of God was a doctor, a medical doctor, and he started the ministry as a medical doctor, and he ran it for years as a medical doctor. I said, this is it. Of course, at that time, I was already doing it. I remember when I was in Nairobi working with Shell, and they would ask me, do you get paid? I said, no. I'm serving God, and because they would see me spend time, during my breaks, taking phone calls, counseling people, praying with people, because I would do that even during the work time. So in my break moments, that's when I would call. So sometimes my lunch hours would end up being a phone conversation dealing with an issue, a counseling session, a break session. In the evening, sometimes I would stay in late because I need to talk to this person, because if I don't, I'll be in a matatu and I will not be able to do it. So it's critical for us to know that our Christianity is not a garment that you put on and off. It's our way of life. And if it is our way of life, then we don't separate things. If I have a call to serve God in ministry, it is my way of life. This other thing is just the add-on. Actually, our Christianity should not be, it should be primary. Every other thing should be the side, if you would call it side hustles. So we bring in our Christianity on every aspect of our life. And so when you understand that, then I am a full-time Christian. So anything I do is full-time. So I do not, I mean, that's it. I remember, let me just say this, then I will come back. I remember when I finally quit, or gave in my resignation. And of course they did for me a farewell. One of the, I think 1 or 2 people mentioned that, George, the way you handle your customers is like a pastor. Yani, you shepherd your customers. Yani, they feel like they have a pastor. It doesn't matter whether they are of a different belief. It really didn't matter the way I treated them. And that was it. That was it. It was a joy. It was a joy. You know, so that really took me, it blessed my heart to just hear it. But now coming back to it, so I'm done with campus. I am getting to work. Of course, you know, we pray, God give me a job.
Yes.
So when I got a job with Safaricom, I have done economics, majored in economics. I've never done anything, by the way, around economics. So when I got into Safaricom, I got a job in the call center, talking to people. And I realized, oh my goodness, I am getting so fulfilled answering people. That's how I started knowing that this really I'm called into the ministry. So in Safaricom, our talk time is 2 minutes. I would end up spending more time because I want to sort out that problem so that this guy doesn't call again. And so I started realizing my passion is really talking to people and getting them sorted out. And so when I'm working, I am giving my full. When I am out, I am giving my full. You know, I served, and through my entire service, even in the last job that I was in, I gave everything. Everything, Chico. Everything. And I remember when I left, my clients would call, say, where have you gone? And we want to follow you, you know? And it's because of the service I gave them. And when I put myself into it, this is what I borrow again from a man of God who said this, that people buy me. They would give me business because it's me. And I did not reserve. So by the time I'm coming to resign, there is nothing I'm holding back at. So how did I come to that point? The Lord started speaking. It's time to leave. The question that he put in my heart was, if I come now, will I find you doing what I called you to do? And I realized, oh my goodness, I know I've been called to serve God now the full time, away from any other employment, and give myself wholly to the ministry. And this was stealing my time because the person who really got hurt was me. I would get fatigued. So this is one of the reasons why I quit, because there was never a me time. Work is fighting for my time. I'm trying to create time for my family. I'm trying to create time for the ministry, and there is no time for me. I actually remember being hospitalized because of fatigue, because I would not have time for me. And it was so bad that I became so sick, and I realized that my body had given way because I would spend long nights. I remember even in Nairobi, I would see my children only once on Sunday. Yet I live in the same house. It's because I would leave early before 5, come back late after 5, because I'm cancelling after work in a cafe. So you sit and it takes up to 9. I come back home, kids are asleep. So that period, I realized that this body was the one that was wasting away. So in that moment, as God is just bringing me away, what I realized is that I needed to take a move. The Lord started telling me, he gave me the story of Jonah, and he told me, you've got to quit. You've got to quit, otherwise things will rock. The money is good. Especially good. The money is good. And you know, our bonuses are lovely. You know, and I'll tell God, one more bonus. And he allows me to get a bonus. And I say, one more bonus. And you know, every year you want the bonus. And you have a lifestyle. And now quitting would mean a shift. How do you then take that? So that was the hardest part. So let me say that the Lord really just pushed, because I realized that things were not going to go very well if I kept on disobeying God. But what I also realized, remember, what pushed me was the account we would give. And I realized I I don't have much to account for.
Yes.
Then the Lord started showing me what I'm seeing in our young people today. And this is what I would really encourage every young person, you're watching. One of the things, I have one spiritual son. He started working, worked for 2 years. Then he quit. He wanted to now do what he knows he's called to do. He's a lawyer.
Yes.
So he quit to start his law firm. And I'm like, man, the money is good. You're having a 6-digit figure. Why quit? And what I realized is that our generation and the generation before would work for 20, 30 years. Then you get into the thing that you're passionate about.
Yes.
Now,
Later on.
there is no time for that. So I realized this generation want to do what they are called to do immediately. They don't want to wait. Then I realized, look at life. Think about the industry of media and comedy, for example.
Yes.
People are earning
Yes.
on their gifting,
Yes, they are.
and they are living on their gifting, what they love to do and are passionate about. And I realized it's time for us parents to move away from the classical engineering, lawyer, doctor, pilot.
Yes.
Let's leave that aside. Yeah, let's get to know what is it really that our children are passionate about. Let's channel our energies in that and direct them in that way. Because I knew I was going to ministry. But why waste all this time when I could actually be sharpening my skill in that area?
From a very young age. Yeah.
And become everything else. Think about the Serena Williams, the Williams.
Yes.
Because of their gift, their parents gave themselves
Yes.
to train them,
Yeah.
see where they are. And so I saw that, and I said, this generation are so fearless. They are risk takers. They are moving in. And, just to go back to this young man, he's doing exceptionally well in his own outfit. And he's still young. And so I think it's the Lord's mercy, really, that allowed me to work for, close to 20 years plus. Then now make the shift to the ministry. So it was a voice of God that really landed me to that place of saying, if I came and you were to give an account, how would you give it? So I realized I would fall short. So I said, I'm going to dive in. So that's now the other complexity. You're married, so how do you move?
Yes.
Because now this is a move into faith.
Yes.
It's important for us not to do things foolishly. We've got to be in sync. If you are in a marriage, you've got to be in agreement with your spouse. Even if the full-time ministry is your business line, you've got to be in agreement. And that is one of the things that I sought to establish. Oneness with my wife, so that then I would move into that place of ministry, which I did achieve over a short period. It took a year plus of her understanding how to live by faith. You women are very practical, So she would ask me, I would tell her, how will this work? I said, I will pray. Say, yeah, but after praying, you need to do something.
Yes.
And I'm like, no, prayer is not a means to an end. Prayer is an end in itself. And so, out of prayer, the Lord started providing. I am working. And by the way, this is the other thing. When we are scared of getting into a faith walk,
Yes.
sometimes we are just deceiving ourselves, because I remember working, and by day 5, my salary is gone.
Yes.
I've paid my bills, and I don't have a salon. And I go through the month. So how am I surviving? So I started realizing it's not actually my pay that is keeping me. It just gives me comfort that my bills will be sorted.
Coming, yes.
But how to live from day to day, I had to believe God. I had to trust Him. And so it's critical for us to know. And that, by the way, made me stop pushing for bonuses. I remember one year I was pushing for promotion bonus, and it wasn't happening. And then the Lord rebuked me and said, who's making you survive? How are you surviving? Is it the money or is it me? And I figured it was the Lord. So I moved away and started trusting in the Lord. And the Lord will have avenues. God, people that you touch, God just speaks to them and say, Pastor, the Lord just put it in my heart. hiyo ni yako. It's not an offering, it's just yours. Sort yourself, shopping and family. And some of what will come is not small money. Now I started involving my wife in seeing answer to prayer. So she started getting comfortable that actually this prayer thing works.
Yes.
And by the time I am quitting, I'm the one who was slower. I was like, I can't wait for you to quit. Come, quit. And she took the burden to share it with my children. And we had a sitting around and we talked with them. We told them, now that is quitting. And this is what quitting means. Is that God is going to be our supplier. So the trips we used to do, the outings we used to do, everything will change. Not that we will stop, but I want you to join me and pray to the same God I pray to, so that you can be able to enjoy the same lifestyle. We're not going to move into a small place, because this God who has called me to this life of faith, fully dependent on Him, He will sustain us. Now the amazing thing is, actually when I quit, one of the big miracles that God did is that He allowed me and my family to travel to the US by faith. Money that we did not work for, the Lord supplied. And that's been the journey, because I quit in 2017. Yeah, that's when I quit.
Wow. And so this wraps up our segment of DTMT today. I know that you were blessed. I know that you are inspired. And I just want you to tell us, what is the one thing that you've captured out of this whole conversation? Comment on the comment description below, and please remember to subscribe on this channel so that you get all the notifications for all the episodes that will be coming through. And remember, God loves you. So thank you so much. And so be a minister in the place that God has called you today. God bless you. Until next time. Bye-bye.